Hi friends, my name is Debbie and today we're going to be painting this beautiful flower bouquet and also this glass for them. So let's jump in and get started. We're going to start off by using ultramarine blue. I'm going to be making some dots and a circle. You can use any color for the flowers that you like, whatever you have in your palette. For me, blue is a nice color, so I decided to use the ultramarine blue. I put some blue and then I wipe off the excess. I take a clean brush, dip it in the water, wipe off the extra water, go back to the center and just pull the paint away from the center and make these nice petal shapes. And we also add a little bit of darker blues to it so the flower looks more natural. And we're gonna be adding a little bit of strokes, like 6 strokes, and just pulling like you're pulling from the side to the outside. And this is gonna give more texture and also it's gonna make it look more organic. Now I'm using magenta, very light on the color, and we're just making these strokes, like petal strokes. And we're keeping this like a circle. As long as your flower is in the circle, it's gonna look more natural. So we're just adding some C strokes to the top, make this flower look bigger and fluff. So I'm just adding some more C strokes to the center. And then I decided to take a bigger brush. I feel more comfortable with it. And I'm just using the side of the brush to make this kind of sweeping strokes. And adding some more color to the C ones. And this is gonna make my flower look nice and bigger. And then the center, I'm just using cadmium yellow and just adding a little bit to the center. Then going back to my blue flowers, we're doing the same, just adding the blue centers, dots, clean your brush with water, and then you just come to the center, pull the paint away from the center, and make these nice petal shapes. You can also add a little bit darker blue. It will give more texture to your flower, and then we will be using the tip of the brush and we're gonna add some strokes to the sides, and this is gonna make it look more natural. They look like kind of like eyelashes to me. For now we're gonna be keeping the center white, but we will go back to these flowers after they're completely dried and we will add more details to them. So we're just adding a little bit more of the blue. And then in watercolor or any art, you want to have odd numbers. You don't want to have pairs or fours. You always want to have like 3, 5. And this is going to make the composition look more natural. And it brings more interest to your composition. And I'm just doing the same thing with this flower, just adding the dots, go and pull the paint away, and just make the petal shapes. Don't forget to add the eyelashes to the sides, some of the sides, not all of them. And that's gonna give you more texture to this flower. I decided to add a little bit more of these pink flowers, the peonies, and I'm just using the side of the brush, making the C strokes. Remember to keep this flower as a nice circle. And then we're gonna be adding some turquoise, very light value. That means we're gonna have a little bit of paint, more water to it. And I'm just making some circles, some are ovals, some are circles, and just adding this color. Later on, we're gonna be adding more color to it. You can use the same color or you can add a little bit more paint and make it a little bit darker. So we're just add in the circles and the ovals. It doesn't need to be perfect. Remember, nature is not perfect, so you don't have to stress about the shape. It doesn't matter. As long as it's round or oval, it's gonna look beautiful. And if your paint is too wet and the paint start to move and blend, it's okay. You can always go back after it dries completely. Now I'm adding some lavender color, and I'm just using the tip of the brush sideways, and it's gonna give you this nice round points and like skinnier on the bottom. And we're making like a cone shape to give us some height. And we're gonna pass where the peony is. We're gonna go halfway there. This is gonna give us really nice height to this bouquet. And we will be going back to it to add more texture, more color, and more pop. We're just bringing it down, we'll say halfway. So now I'm going back to the darker color. I'm using ultramarine blue. It's a light wash, so it's not too much paint. It's more water than color. And remember, just use the tip of your brush to add the color to it. We're adding a little bit more to the side to make it a little bit bigger. It has to have some kind of balance. And now I'm gonna be adding the leaves, and I'm just using sap green, but you can use any green that you have in your palette. Just make sure it's light color. We always start with light color, and then as we move in the painting, we're gonna be adding darker values. The leaves, they always come from the flower to the outside. So just make a stem and put your leaf in there. I feel like I need to put some leaves on the top. It's just too empty. So I'm gonna add some here. Just make a C stroke. C on one side, C on the other side, and combine them. And that's how you get your leaf. You're more on this side. Then for this next flower, I'm just using the tip of my brush. I'm using cadmium yellow, and I'm just making dots, mini tiny circles. And we're gonna let this dry, and we will go back at the stems, and we will be adding some more color to it. This part of the composition, I needed some height, so I'm putting this bush type of flower, and I'm just using brown. You can use any color that you like. You can use yellow ochre, or you can use sienna, any color that you like. I'm just adding some brown in here, and I will be putting the stem with some sap green and just connecting the dots, going all the way down. This is a simple step. Just put your stems connecting all these dots in here, and we're going straight down. So for this part, I'm just adding a little bit of purple. It's giving us more contrast to the flower. It's gonna make it pop a little bit more. It was kind of lost in the composition, so by adding this purple, it's gonna make it pop more. Then for the blue flowers, I went back to the ultramarine blue, and I'm just adding a little bit more texture to these ones. I'm just adding a little bit darker color to the center, and also some of the eyelashes kind of on the flower. It's just sweeping your brush sideways and you get these nice wispy lines. You can add some lines in the center if you like. I'm just doing some on the edges and the center. And just adding darker colors is gonna give you more natural look, more organic, and it's gonna make the flower look even nicer. So going back to my pink flowers, I'm just adding a little bit of paint gray, a few dots. We don't want to cover the yellow one, the yellow area that we already painted. We want just a few dots here and there. I went back to my magenta, and again I'm using my brush sideways. You make these nice strokes, and I'm adding also some darker colors to the top, making the C strokes, and this is gonna make this flower pop even more. I'm gonna add some to this other flower and just using the side of the brush, like sweeping, and some on top, making the C shape. Remember, we're trying to keep these flowers nice and round so they look more real. And then we're gonna be adding a little bit more color to this one here. Then by mixing the sap green with a little bit of ultramarine blue, we get a darker green, and we want some different values. We want light green, medium green, and darker greens. And just adding some of the leaves, a little bit more of this darker color is gonna make it look better. We can add the lines inside the leaf, or you can just add the edge. You don't have to do the inside if you don't want to. I'm just doing some lines in some of them, but you can keep it simple as you like. So just remember, in watercolor, we always start with light colors or light values, and then as we build up the layers, we add more color, more darker colors, medium colors into the composition. So we always start with light, because it's very hard to go back to light after you apply dark. So that's why we always start with the lighter colors or lighter values. Now back to the yellow dots. We're just adding some darker color to the yellow. I just added a little bit of orange, and I'm just adding a little bit of pop to the center. And then we're gonna connect the dots with sap green, and this is gonna make it look like they're connected to each other, and we're making the stem. We're making the stem for this lavender, and we're just connecting the dots. Very simple, nothing complicated. Just connect every single one. And I'm using sap green, but you can use any green that you like. You can use lime green or hooker's green. In this case, I'm using my lighter one, that is the sap green. And I'm just making the stem. We're not gonna go too down on the page because we're gonna be adding the glass, so we wanna have some space for that. Add some stems for these blue flowers. And we will be adding some more greens, some more leaves. So for now, we're gonna keep it simple. Then when we're getting closer to the end, we will see if we need more leaves, more space to cover. We don't want too much white spaces. We always want to make sure there's enough green areas and not too much white. So this one, I'm going to the second layer. This was the turquoise, and just trying to make a little bit more of a circle eucalyptus just by adding the darker value. And whenever you add too much paint, you can always wipe it off. You can use a paper towel, or you can use your brush and do some lifting technique, which is you have a clean brush, go back to your paint, just take off the extra and wipe off on a paper towel or in clean water. And they don't have to look perfect brown. Leaves are not perfect, so if they're different sizes, it's even better. They will look more natural. So this part of my composition, I decided it needed more flowers on this side. We always try to create a balance. So I'm adding a little bit more of these yellow flowers, just dots. And then we're gonna let them dry, go back to it. We're gonna be adding cadmium yellow and a little bit of orange just to the centers. And then we're gonna back to connect the dots. As you can see, I'm using the orange that I made, and I'm just adding a little touch to it. Just using the tip of my brush, I'm adding a little bit of this color, and same on the other ones. So we're just gonna connect these dots with the sap green. Make these tiny little lines, connecting them. Make them look like they belong to the stem. And we're just making these little lines, marks. Make sure your yellow is dried so you don't move the paint around. You can always pop a little bit of the darker green. That's gonna give nice effect. It's gonna make it look more natural. Like some leaves are darker, some are lighter. So you could do that in this area too. Then for this bush, I feel like it needed some more volume. So I'm bringing it down to halfway on my page just by adding the brown color. And at first I added my lighter brown, then I went back, added Payne's gray to my brown, so I make it a little bit darker. So I'm using different values on this bush. It gives more dimension to the stem and the bush, and it's gonna make it pop more. I went back to this flower. I decided to add a little bit of magenta, but because it was still wet, it kind of mixed with my ultramarine blue, but it's okay because it became a purple color, so it works perfect for this flower. And I'm just doing the same with the other bush, adding a little bit more weight to the bottom so it doesn't look like it's going sideways. And just adding a little bit of the orange for these yellow dots, a little bit of more color. Then I'm using my angle brush to add some branches, just the sap green. Then I will be using a darker color. I use the sap green and a little bit of ultramarine blue to make it a little bit darker. And just pulling your brush, just go and pull your brush up, and that's gonna make nice kind of bushes in here. Just pull it and pull it. By adding this kind of grass to this composition, it just make it look more balanced. We want to make sure both of the sides are kind of even, and not one is bigger than the other one, because it's gonna look like the flowers are gonna fall from to one side. We want to make a nice balance to it. So going back to the sap green, I'm just gonna add some leaves to these yellow flowers, and you can make any shape you like. I like this wiggle kind of leaves, but you can make a C shape and a C shape and combine them, and that's how you end up with a nice round leaf. For me, I like more of the wiggle, but you can put any leaf that you like. Whatever makes you happy. As your composition, is your painting, so you make it your own. Just add a few more leaves here and there. And this is the same color, just sap green. I didn't add any color to it. Then I'm just adding a little bit tiny leaves here and there, just taking care of the white spaces. We don't want too much of a white. We want to make sure it has some nice green areas, and just adding little touches. Just by touching your brush on the paper, it's gonna give you this nice leaf kind of, and just tap your brush on the paper, and I mixed the sap green with a little bit of the yellow, and it's giving me this nice contrast color, like between light and darker at the same time. Just going back with a little bit more of the sap green, just to add some more texture, and a little bit of the darker one too. It's nice to have different colors of green. And then just adding the stems for these leaves that we just created. Everything has to have some kind of stem, so they're not just floating. We want to make sure they're connected. And we're just adding a little bit more. I feel that this side, it has too much white, so I put some more leaves in there. Now with the magenta, I'm adding some splatter. It's just my thing. I like to throw some color all over the paper. It just makes me happy. So I'm adding the magenta, but you can add yellow or you can add any color that you like. So I'm using the turquoise, making the shape of my glass. And we want to make an oval on top, and then an oval on the bottom, and an oval in the center. So the center of my glass is gonna be where the water is sitting down. So that area, we want to keep a highlight in it, and then below the highlights, we're gonna go with a darker color. So that's gonna give the illusion that the water is sitting there. And the sides, we wanna add the darker color to the sides. Keep one side lighter because the light always hit the glass, and one side of the glass is gonna be the lighter one, and the other one is gonna be the darker one. So for now, I'm keeping my right side with the highlight, and the left side is gonna be my darker one. I'm just clean my brush and just spreading the color. I will be adding some more color to this. I'm just blending for now. Clean my brush again with clean water and blend the color. Go back to my blue, add a little bit of the darker blue, make an oval. My left side of my oval is gonna be the darker one. The right is gonna be a lighter one, but the edge of my right is gonna be a darker color, just the edge. So I'm adding some more and just blending, bringing it all the way up. So for the top, my left side is gonna be darker. I will be adding some more color there, and my right is gonna be the lightest. Add a little bit more color here and a little bit more on this side. Then we're gonna blend this. Every time we add color, we want to make sure you clean your brush with clean water, and then you blend the colors. If you mess up and you put too much paint, you can always do a lifting, which means you're gonna clean your brush with clean water, wipe it off, and then you come back to your painting, and you're gonna pass your brush on top of the extra paint that you did, and that's gonna remove that paint. Then you clean your brush and your clean water, and you can repeat this again as many times as you need, so you can bring the highlights back to your painting. That's why we always start with lighter colors, and we'll build them up when the layers come. So for this part of the glass, this is where the water sits, so we want to keep a highlight. I added too much color, so I'm doing the lifting, as you can see, my clean brush, and just removing the extra paint. Clean the brush again, go back, remove the paint, wipe it off, and then you can go back and add as much paint as needed. And just make sure you blend it. Every time you add paint, make sure you blend it, because this is glass, so glass is supposed to be nice and even. There's gonna be no hard lines in it. I'm just adding some more blue. This one is ultramarine blue, so I'm just going below my highlight, and that's where the darker color is gonna be. That's what's gonna show that the water is sitting there, and then above is supposed to be my lighter color. And to my left, as you can see, I'm adding the darker color and just a little bit darker on the right side, but not too much. So I'm going back to the bottom, add a little bit more blue, and I will be blending this color again. We're working on layers, trying to make the glass look like glass, so we're always working layers. So we add the blue, then clean our brush and blend these colors. Blend again. And you can blend as many times as needed. As you can see, I added too much here, so I'm just blending the color. Add a little bit of water, or you can lift the paint off the paper. I think this part here needs a highlight, so I'm just removing a little bit of the paint. And then just adding a little bit up here where the branches are. So for the stems to show there inside the water, you don't go straight line. You're just gonna move just a little bit to the side where the stems should be. You just move a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, and that will give the illusion that the stems are in the water. Because when you look at your flowers inside the water, the stems, they always look like they're moving towards the side. So that's what we're trying to do here. Just by moving a little bit to the side is gonna make them look like they're inside the water. And you gotta make them thicker than the actual stem on top because it's hitting the water. So it's just kind of make them look bigger somehow. So I'm doing the same with the bushes. I'm just adding a little bit more color to it. Same on this side here, adding a little bit more color and make it a little bit longer. It needed more balance for this side, so it needed to be taller and a little bit bigger. So if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will really appreciate it. Make sure you hit it a like. This will make my video pop even more in the YouTube channel so more people can see it. Right now we're working on the table. We don't want the glass to be just floating in the air, so we always have to have some kind of base. I'm using the ultramarine blue and burnt sienna. This is the shadow color, 50-50, very light. So we're using a lot of water, not too much paint. And I'm just adding this color to the whole page. As you can see, I'm using washi tape. You can use any tape that you have. And this is gonna make a really sharp line, just in case, you know, you cannot use the ruler, or you have shaky hands. So by putting the tape is gonna help you keep really nice sharp line. And just blending the color. The darker color is gonna be close to the edge of the glass, and we're just blending. Keep your brush clean it with water, and go back and blend the paint. And then you can add more color on the edge of the glass. Just make sure you blend it. Every time you add it, you blend it. So pretty much we're done here, done with the details. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on my next one. Take care, friends. Bye bye for now.